you talk about Phil Johnston, you talk about people and you talk about issues. But you also understand increasingly important every year is Phil Johnston talking about the importance of organizing and grassroots politics and the importance of the Democratic Party being ready and worked day in and day out to achieve a goal that all of us sought, to return a Democrat to the corner office. And I'm very proud, Phil, to have worked with you on that. But your mission there, to keep us focused on that, to work day in and day out and do the important things that were necessary, was essential for our victory last November. Now that's true in a theoretical way because Phil organized and prepared and brought the party forward in a way that we had needed for so long. But I want to tell you a story about this past election that not many people know. Phil Johnston and Sue Thompson and the Democratic Party were working diligently to prepare for our coordinated campaign during the early days, when we were all doing the same thing. We were working to nominate the best candidate to carry our party's banner. Now, we didn't all agree who that person was, and we were working hard in a primary. But while the party was split and doing the work we do, and that's how we Democrats do it, right? We fight it out, and that strong primary campaign, if it stays clean, which Phil stood up for during that campaign, and there's unity afterwards, the strongest candidate comes out of that fray. And Phil understood that. And he held all of the candidates' feet to the fire on running a clean campaign and unifying afterwards. He did that important work day in and day out. But I want to tell you something that not many people, a story was never written about the 2006 Democratic campaign. It was a story that many in the press wanted to write. They wanted to write the same old story. The Democrats screwed it up again. So did we do it because we fought each other, like maybe we did in '98, and we took each other's heads off even maybe after the primary? Phil Johnston stood up during the primary campaign and had all the candidates together, shaking hands and pledging unity. And then he called them out before the ad started and asked them to keep it straight, keep it positive. And it was one of the cleanest primary campaigns ever. And Phil's working on that with Caucus. The other story that the press, if we weren't going to take our heads off, they were going to write the story that we did maybe the next time. Well, it's great, we fought each other, and we didn't kill each other necessarily, but we bankrupted ourselves. And the Republicans, you know, they don't run a contested primary to pick theirs. They just decide, they all go off to some club somewhere in Boston, they have a snifter of brandy and they decide, you are going to run, everybody else keep making $20 million. And they unite behind one candidate, and we fight it out, and we bloody and bruise, and we spend every nickel we have, and we start a 7-week primary campaign, broke. And maybe we've done that, and that was going to be the story they were going to write about the Democrats this year and why we couldn't win the corner office again. I mean, we know it had been 20 years since we had elected a Democrat, when we had elected Mike Caucus. 20 years. You know, 1986 is so long ago, the Celtics were world champions. We can't talk about baseball in '86, right? But Wade Boggs won the batting championship. The Cosby Show was the big hit on TV, and Platoon won the Emmys. And the press was just itching to write the story of how the Democrats screwed this up once again. But when Phil was thinking about we're not going to beat each other up, and he held out that, he knew we also needed money. And we did have money, because the day after the primary, we were able to walk into Sue Thompson's office, drain the bank account of $450,000 and be up on TV. Because the Democratic Party had done the work under Phil's leadership to put that money in place. Now here's the story that was never written. God, Fred Phillips would have liked this one, Phil, wouldn't he? The truth of the matter was the Deval Patrick and Tim Murray campaigns were almost $500,000 in debt on that day. Think about that. If the Democratic Party didn't have the funds ready for us to be up on TV within 24 hours, and we were scrambling, they'd be like Shannon did. Try to put those resources together, would have been the easy story. Just get out the word processor and pick it up from 4 years ago. And you know what happened in reality, because we went up on TV right away, nobody asked where we were financially. And our fundraising took off. And in that 7-week period, Deval Patrick, Tim Murray, and the Democratic Party together, in 7 weeks, raised almost $9 million. The foresight and leadership of Phil Johnston and Sue Thompson, the Democratic Party, to understand and learn from our past experience and put in place protection from the things we may have done to ourselves in the past was an important part of that. All of Massachusetts, Phil, and me particularly, says thank you for those important steps that were taken.